What's up, everybody? I'm Jack, and this is episode 1 of the DailyDose podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Jackpack LLC, all organically grown cannabis right here in New Mexico. This podcast will be dropping every Monday at noon Eastern. On today's episode, we'll be going over last weekend's Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach Jr. fight, as well as UFC 313 coming up this weekend. There was some fights this past weekend. UFC card, there was a fight night. Nothing that really blew your hair back. No major fights. They were decent, but the UFC's kind of shorting us for these fight nights. Dana, get it together. But yeah, so we'll be going over the boxing fights from this past weekend, the up-and-coming UFC fights. In general, this podcast will be about combat sports, current topics, things going on, probably some travel vlogs here and there. I'm an upcoming entrepreneur, a traveler, and just a combat sports enthusiast. So let's get right into it. We got Yones Tellez versus Julian Williams. Now, this fight was right before the pay-per-view, or maybe the first one on the pay-per-view on the boxing card. Really good fight. I don't know too much about Tellez. Of course, Julian Williams, he's a veteran, had a great career, former champ. So he put up a great fight. He was doing well. He just didn't quite have enough. He ended up retiring, went out on his shield, though. Really good fight. After that, you had Albert Puello versus Sandor Martin. Now, Sandor Martin has a lot of hype. Rightfully deserved. He's a great fighter. Came in there, really good fight, super competitive, and the split decision went the other way. So, with things like that, when it's that close, it could go either way. And yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with it. I don't think anybody really stood out. They both had their moments, and yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Gary Antoine Russell versus Jose Valenzuela. Now, this one was a one-sided beatdown. Gary Russell came back from a loss, flawless victory, 12 rounds to 0. Valenzuela had nothing to offer him at all. He was just kind of hanging in there. He lasted all 12 rounds, but he was really just getting beat post to post. So sometimes it just isn't your night. Now, the main event, of course, you had Gervonta Tank Davis, who I'm a big fan of, and you had Lamont Roach Jr. Now, obviously, they fought twice in the amateurs. Tank won twice. That never means anything in the amateurs, Now, as grown men, as professionals, it's a lot different. Maybe Tank kind of, was holding on to that. I think he just looked off when he walked out, and don't take anything from Roach Jr., but when he was walking out, he was like sweating. He looked very nervous, not like his usual self. One thing that I want to say that Lamont Roach Jr. did well was that he didn't come with the usual just rush Tank, bombard him, throw as many shots as you can. That's when Tank downloads and, computes and waits until round, 5 or 6 and then knocks people out. While Roach Jr. was just standing in front of him, kind of throwing one shot at a time, playing more of a chess game. Let's go move for move. And not that he exposed Tank, but definitely that's something he's going to have to work on. Whereas if people don't engage, what can you do? Because the big fight, obviously, that everybody wants to see is going to be Shakur Stevenson versus Tank Davis. And Shakur will stand there all night and not throw one punch if it makes sense. So if Tank doesn't work on that, it could be a snooze fest. But I think he will. I think he learned from it. I think that he'll come back. He's got to rematch Roach Jr., unfortunately, right away. I don't think you can just go to a big fight coming off a controversial performance like that. Now, the big controversy was the knee. At first, right away when I saw it, I'm like, what's going on? The ref starts counting. This has got to be a knockdown. And then he stops counting. It was very weird. Tank said that he got some grease in his eye. He couldn't see, whether that's true or not. I've seen things that say that should be a knockdown. I've also read that if a fighter voluntarily takes a knee, not due to a strike, it's kind of the ref's discretion. A little weird. It was a very weird situation. Either way, the ref gave it a draw. The ref didn't call it a knockdown. That's how it goes. So definitely Tank's got to come back and show he's still that guy. I think he will, and it'll be interesting to see. Let's get into UFC 313. There's a few good fights on this card. I mean, overall, a lot better than last week, obviously. I think right before the pay-per-view, we got Curtis Blade versus Rizan Kunev. On this one, I'm going to give my prediction. I'm going Curtis Blades by unanimous decision. I think just putting his pace, his wrestling, mixing it up. He kind of catches people off guard sometimes if he throws some shots in there because they're expecting so much of the wrestling. We'll see how that goes. And then you got Bobby Green. Definitely not calling another grown man king. So, yeah, we got Bobby Green versus Mauricio Rufy. I'm going to go with Bobby Green. I don't know too much about Rufy. I saw a couple things on him, but I'm thinking Bobby Green can still do it and probably win a decision, kind of stick and move, do his thing. And then you got Amanda Lemos versus Jasmine Lucindio. Again, I don't know too much about Jasmine, so I'm just going to take Amanda Lemos, unanimous decision. Now we got Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. This should be a really good fight. Absolute fireworks. You know what? I think I'm going to take Ignacio Bahamondes. He's more of the up-and-comer, but I think it'll be absolute fireworks either way. Now in the co-main, we got Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev. Obviously, they fought before. I mean, it was a great fight. It was entertaining. A little disappointing. We were obviously all really looking forward to that Gaethje versus Dan Hooker. I mean, that would have been an absolute barn burner. Hopefully, if Gaethje pulls off the win maybe and doesn't take too much damage, they can try and do that international fight week or something. We'll see how that goes. Nevertheless, in this one, 5 rounds, I'm going Justin Gaethje. Probably a 3rd round TKO. So we'll see how that goes. Now to the main event. The moment everybody's been waiting for. A wrestler that's going to take Alex down and minimize all his attacks. So on this one, I'm going to take Alex Pereira by 2nd or 3rd round TKO. Yes, do I think if Ankalaev takes him down, it could cause some problems? Maybe. I think taking down Pereira is going to be easier said than done. I don't think it's like people think. He's not going to just wrap him up, hold him down, and that's going to be how it is every round. When you go to shoot on Alex Pereira, you've got to be very careful. You got to be on your P's and Q's. You get caught with a left hook or kind of that shovel uppercut, you're going to be face down, ass up. So we'll see how it goes. Definitely should be a good fight. I'm taking Alex Pereira. Hopefully after that, Dana can give him a shot at heavyweight. Let the man try and be legendary. If anybody could do it, it's going to be him. So we'll see how that goes. So, yeah, in general, I don't really have any current topics for the week. Just wanted to kind of go over the fights, do an introduction, get a feel for everything. One thing I want to do towards the end of my podcast, whether I have a message or whether I, said something inspirational or whatever it may be, I want to do a message of the week. So a message for the week for everybody is you'll never get hate from someone who's doing better than you. So just remember that. If you're at the beginning stage in your journey, if you're just starting, if you're struggling, whatever it is, whatever you do, no one that's doing better than you will ever hate on you. So don't worry when people criticize you or critique you or telling you you're doing the wrong thing. Do what you want to do. Do what makes you feel good. Chase your passion, and that's all that matters. So, with the wrap up from today's episode, I think Tank's definitely got to run it back so he can see kind of where he stands. Powhatan and Still. This was the first episode. Just wanted to kind of get a feel for everything. I want to say thank you to everyone who tunes in. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Tune into the channel. This will be an every Monday type deal. If you want me to talk about something in specific or have some questions, put it in the comment box. I'll put the link to the email. Thank you guys. Tune in next week.